A hearing in the federal courthouse today involving two of our city leaders. A 38-count indictment unsealed today, and at the center of it all, two members of Jacksonville City Council.
Now tonight, Katrina Brown and Reggie Brown were allowed to return home, but they are facing some very serious federal charges, including conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud. And they face a maximum penalty of hundreds of years in prison if convicted. Now, prosecutors say the victims of the fraud include a Louisiana bank, not to mention Jacksonville taxpayers.
So those alleged crimes date all the way back to May of 2011 when Katrina Brown's family applied for a $380,000 loan from the city. That August, the SBA authorized a $2.6 million loan.
But by 2013, the sauce company was falling short of its goals, and that is where Reggie Brown allegedly comes into the picture. The feds say that they conspired to set up shell companies to keep the money flowing, allegations that Katrina and Reggie Brown both deny.
And then in 2016, the city started demanding its money back and threatening to bring in the lawyers. That December, the FBI and JSO raided the sauce company, hauling out loads of boxes. So for nearly a year and a half, the case simmered. The city sued, banks foreclosed, and the building was auctioned off.
Now this month, the city of Jacksonville sued Katrina Brown, and just 8 days ago, it was on May 23rd, the grand jury handed down the indictments for both Katrina and Reggie Brown, which today were unsealed. And tonight, we are following the money.
And that's exactly what our Nick Perot has been doing, and he joins us now with more on what he's uncovered tonight.
Good evening. There are two key numbers that stand out in this indictment. First, the $380,000 loan from the city of Jacksonville to Katrina Brown to help her buy her building. And second, the $210,000 grant from the city. However, the question still remains, where did the money go? Tonight, I took a closer look.
So she's been indicted for fraud where you're supposed to be taking money, diverting it, buying cars, boats, and planes. She didn't do any of that.
Katrina Brown's attorney, Curtis Fallgetter, told me on the phone 2 years before Brown officially opened this building that is now in question, there were 77 scheduled payments on behalf of his client and her CoWealth LLC. 39 of those either went to pay back loans to the city of Jacksonville or the bank.
She worked her fingers to the bone trying to make this a success over a 5-year period, and it failed, and the bank knows that.
We know money was used to renovate and purchase the 34,000 square foot building along Commonwealth Avenue. Fallgetter says nearly $8,000 was used for computers for business, but that's about all we know. First, we tried to reach out to the Director of Housing and Neighborhoods when the loan was approved back in 2012 to explain why the city approved the $200,000 grant if they had not produced the jobs. Terrence Barker now lives in Cincinnati, according to his LinkedIn profile, and did not return our phone calls or emails. Next, a phone call to the IRS would tell us there's a special database that shows us how much a company like CoWealth has made, but since CoWealth is currently inactive, they're not listed. First Coast News asked to see tax returns for the business, but are told releasing a line-by-line item is not allowed under federal law. And that's essentially where we sit at this point, so now it becomes a waiting game. See how this plays out throughout the judicial process. Reporting in Jacksonville, Nick Perot, First Coast News on your side.